Hello everyone, Alec DeLorean here, and I hope you're having a wonderful day so far. Now today we have the best hunters for each game mode. Now before I go into anything, this is just my list, my opinion. It's not necessarily your opinion and your experiences. So take this with a grain of salt. If you disagree, that's perfectly fine. This is just what I think, I guess. Now, before we get into it, if you enjoy this content, this video, and all things Star Wars Hunters related, be sure to like, subscribe, and I will see you in the video. Now, the first game mode is Squad Brawl. It's the best one to start with just because it's the most basic one and everyone knows it. Very simple game mode, so I think it's the perfect one to start with, you know? So the first hunter is going to be Reeve. Now, that's just purely because of her damage potential. She can do a lot of damage to a load of people. She can just jump in, use her ultimate, stun everyone if they're grouped up. A lot of the time, everyone is grouped up in Squad Brawl, at least in the higher ranks, I've noticed. So you can just use it and sometimes get a 4K if you look. And then she's also really good at killing all of the supports and any of the squishy damage hunters like Imaravex or Diago. So overall, she's a really good pick for this mode. So the next one is Utuni. Now, I have chosen Utuni just for the AoE damage because he can group a lot of people together, and both of his weapons do crazy amount of damage to a lot of enemies, and he has that extra damage buff for switching weapons. So he is really good at killing any type of hunter, really, squishy ones and tanky ones. It's just Utuni is not the most, doesn't have the best mobility, so he might get caught out in that sense, but overall he's really good at applying damage to enemies if needed. So the next one is a support, and I went with Scorer for this one, as Scorer is the only hunter who can consistently heal at long range. Sprocket, he can kind of throw his ability a little bit in front of him, but Scorer can long range, closer range, mid-range, any of it. And I think that's what matters most, because if everyone is spread out a little bit, Scorer can still equally give out the heals, which is nice. And also, she can buff, and she can also help mitigate damage by her ability. And the next one is a tank, and that is Sentinel. Now, Sentinel may potentially be on every single one. I haven't seen the full list. I'm just working my way down it. But yeah, Sentinel is so good. Best, to me anyway, he's the best hunter there is in the game. He's a tank, he's a damage, he's just so good. So much health, so much mitigation, so much crowd control with the stun and the pushback, except from Char, really. And overall, he's just so good. Especially, he's really deadly when it's someone who mains Sentinel and has a lot of games on him, and that scares me, to be honest. So yeah, Sentinel is definitely a great pick on this game mode. And the last one of Squad Brawl is Diago, and I chose Diago because he is really good at being a counter to all of the supports. 2 headshots on Scorer, dead. I think it might be 2, maybe 3 headshots on Xena and Sprocket. I haven't played them as much as Scorer, so I can't really think off the top of my head. But all I know is that Diago is really good. And when a Diago can hit shots consistently, that makes me scared for my life as a Scorer main. So Diago just has to be on there because he's so good at getting easy kills on support and squishy hunters as well. And that would be Squad Brawl. So it's Reeve, Utuni, Scorer, Sentinel, and Diago. So if you pick any of them, you're sure to have a fun time, a good time, anytime on this game mode. So the next one is Dynamic Control, my personal favorite game mode in Star Wars Hunters. And the first one I'm going to go with is Jedi. Purely because this game mode, everyone is in like a concentrated area on the map. So a lot of the time, it's just going to be a mass amount of damage over a short duration. Jedi is really good at survivability. He has spare parts, so when he gets hit, sometimes drops spare parts and he can heal himself from that. And he also has his lightsaber block, which has really good stamina in comparison to Reeve. So he's really annoying to play against because he can just stop the damage being applied to him. Basically, in that sense, it makes him a second tank. So he's really good at surviving, which is what you want on Dynamic Control, because you're always just going to be on point. And the next one is Utuni, and just like on Squad Brawl, he has AoE attacks. and everyone's on the same point. So everyone's going to be clustered together, giving you more chance that you're going to run into enemies grouped up, more chance of damage, more chance of kills, more chance to win. It all just comes together, you know? You don't need high mobility because on dynamic control, the zones stay in one place for quite a decent amount of times. So it's more just if you are about to die, there's no real way you can escape other than his abilities. And the next one is going to be Sprocket, just purely for the AoE healing. So he's healing, you just blob it onto the zone where all your teammates are, and you're going to heal them all really, really fast. It's very fast healing compared to Zayna and Scorer, which are more, I guess, burst healing. Whereas Sprocket is just, you'll get a crazy amount of healing if it's always on a group of teammates. And then bonus on top of that, you have his buffs and debuffs for his other two abilities. So then that just makes it life more difficult for the opposition because damage reduction and increased healing is always insane in any game that you're going to play. The next one is then Zayna, which similarly for Sprocket, it's the AoE healing. You have Zayna who can AoE heal a very, very fast amount of times. Like you use your heal and then it comes back really, really fast to then heal again. You also have your roll, so that gives you that little bit extra increased survivability. It's just, I think Zayna's damage output isn't as good as the other two healers, but you are playing to heal, so it doesn't really matter about that. So keeping a whole team alive rather than single target like Scorer is always going to be good on a mode where everyone's going to be clustered. The next one is Char. Now Char is similar to J3 in that he has really, really good survivability, even better than J3. He has a lot of health, and he has the potential to heal all the way back up from critical health, which is kind of crazy. He then also is really good at dealing with supports who get a bit too close with the trap and the latch, his other ability. I can't remember what it's called. So he has really good survivability, and he can deal with the two healers if they are on point, Sprocket and Zayna. And the last one is Sentinel, which I don't really have much else to say because I said it all in Squad Brawl. He's a tank / damage. He can do it all. Survive, kill, whatnot. All you need is just a pocket healer and you'll probably never die unless it's always a 4v1 or something like that. Always pick Sentinel. There always has to be a Sentinel in every game, I feel like. Right now, anyway. So the next game mode, Power Control. Power Control is really fun when you're playing high mobility characters. It's really, really hard when not. So, for example, the very first one is going to be Arental. He has great movability. He has his boost, he has his jump, and he's just super fast at getting around the map. He also has pretty good damage output. Not as good as some others, maybe. Power Control. The best way to win is just to play the objective. So it's not about kills in this one. So if you can just run from A to C to B to A to C to B in a big cycle where the enemies can't keep up with you, then that's always going to make it so you're more likely to win. And the next one is Reeve, who goes hand in hand with Arental, where increased mobility. She has her jump and her dash as well. So she's really fast at getting around the map. And she also does more damage than Arental at times. So she's also a really fantastic pick for Power Control. And then you have her ultimate as always, just you're able to jump onto a point and wipe out anyone who stood there. Then the next one is Scorer, because she has her long heals again. So if you are at point A and you see a teammate at B or close to B and you need to heal them, as Zayna and Sprocket, you wouldn't be able to do this. You could just heal at long range whilst you're capturing A or something. It's really, really good for long range. And obviously, she's got great mobility. She can dash from point to point as fast as Arental and Reeve, so she's a really good pick if your team are really high health and they're not really being contested, but you want to just quickly nip to A to capture it and then come back, then you can do that with Scorer, unlike Sprocket, who has the worst mobility of the spots. And then next is Sentinel, but I feel like you might be able to take him out. I put him in here because his mobility, that's his weak point for Sentinel. Mobility is not very good. So the best way to play Sentinel on Power Control is to pick a point. 99% of the time it's going to be B, and just hold that down with your life. Just stay at B for as long as you can and just be a nuisance on that point whilst your teammates are going from A to C and hopefully your healer is healing you. It's just to be a one-man army, a fortress. Don't let them take B. That's your one objective, and let your teammates worry about the other 2 points. And then the last one is Slingshot. Slingshot is my favorite hunter to play on power control. I think if you've watched my other videos, you'll know I've said this loads about him. Slingshot, he's probably the fastest hunter overall, just because he has his dash, but then just his normal running is really, really fast because he gets faster the longer he moves. So he's really good at going from A to C as fast as possible. And he's really hard to kill because he's a tank. So he's got his shield and he has his rockets to do just that quick burst of damage and finish off anyone. There's been a lot of times when there's a Maravix or a Diago defending C, and I quickly go over there and I make short work of them because I use my rocket and they're already critical health, so I just need to finish them off with my basic attack. And the last one is my least favorite personally. I still have fun on it, don't get me wrong, but it's just my least favorite of the 4. So the first one is going to be J3. Or J3DI, sorry. Because, like I said, he's got good survivability, he's got his block and whatnot. All that's great, fantastic. But then he's got a stun. If you're having trouble getting onto the enemy who are holding the trophy, you can just zip them off, use your stun to grab them, and it pops them off. And that makes the enemies panic because they're like, oh no, I need to go pick it up, you know? So he's really good at just being a counter to the objective overall. And the next one is Scorer again. Now, she has long-range healing. That's what she's really good for. But a lot of the time, everyone's going to be clumped up, most likely in the spawn. And it's always going to be close-range fights. So close-range healing as well. So you're more vulnerable at this point. The reason why I put her in here is her ultimate value. If the enemies come in to attack you and it's a big team fight, you can just pop your ultimate and they can't even get close to you. So if there is a lot of melee hunters on the enemy team, that just cancels them out. They have to either fight in there, which is a no-go, or they have to wait. And their advance is then crumpled at this point, you know? So she's really good at keeping hold of the trophy for the team. She shouldn't be holding it. The tank should. Her ultimate value is just really good for this mode. And the next one again is Sprocket. Sprocket's really good for this mode because AoE healing and the buffs and the debuffs. His turret's really good for defending the zone because there's going to be a lot of people jumping in and your turret, bam, get it up. Easy. But yeah, mostly the AoE healing. If they all jump in and you pop down your healing, it's going to be a really hard time for them to get kills unless they go for the healing specifically. And then at that point, you're all trying to kill them. So it's like Sprocket is pretty goated on this mode, to be honest. And then Cha is the next one. And it's quite obvious. Again, similar as J3. Great survivability. So he's a really good tank for holding on to the trophy because he's really hard to kill, especially because as a support in this mode, you want to be pocket healing and healing the tank as much as you can. So Cha already has this great healing as well as a lot of health. And then if you've got a Scorer or a Sprocket, pocket healing you constantly, you're hardly ever going to die as Cha. And that's what you want from a tank. It doesn't matter about kills. I mean, getting a lot of kills is nice, but whenever I play tank, I play for the objective. And then the last one is Sentinel, but not because he's a tank slash damage and he's OP, he's meta, or blah, 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 whatever. He's, yeah, obviously. But then, just like J3, he has the stun. It's the same thing where he stuns the person holding the trophy and the trophy drops. It's really good value, and if by happens it was a support that was holding the trophy, which it shouldn't, you're able to take out the support in the meantime as well, and they stop getting points. So he's really good at applying that pressure just like J3. And then an honorable mention for trophy chase, I guess, would be Groz, because he has a load of health and he has his heal as well, and he's a massive target, so healers, people using Scorer, and generally not going to miss him. So a lot of the times he won't die. It's just that when you use his dash, he's going to, if he's holding a trophy, he's going to leave it behind. So that's why I try to not pick hunters like him and Slingshot in this game mode, just because they then can't use their abilities, unlike Sentinel, who can use all of his abilities and keep holding the trophy. So that is a video for the best hunters for each game mode. I mean, it might be wrong. I think it's right, this list, don't you? If you disagree, let me know in the comments. Or if you want to add someone into the list of a game mode, let me know. Because, like I said, Groz could be in a lot of them, but that's fine. So I won't keep you any longer. If you enjoyed this video, this content, and all things Star Wars Hunters related, be sure to like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.